It was a crisp autumn morning, leaves rustling outside the classroom window. The intercom crackled to life, the principal's voice urgent. "Lock down now." My heart raced as I hurried to secure the door, a knot of fear tightening in my stomach. Outside, chaos ensued. Shouts echoed through the halls, mingling with the muffled sobs of frightened students. The intercom fell silent, leaving us in an eerie hush. Minutes stretched into an eternity. My phone buzzed, a text from a friend in another building. "Gunman on campus, be safe." Panic surged, my breath shallow. This couldn't be real. A sudden crash jolted me, the sound of shattering glass echoing down the corridor. Adrenaline surged as I herded my classmates into the corner, huddling together in terror. Footsteps approached, deliberate and cold. My heart pounded, breaths coming in ragged gasps. The door handle rattled, a sinister omen of what was outside. The intruder's voice, distorted and chilling, pierced the air. "I know you're in there. There's no escape." Dread washed over us, a suffocating shroud. A classmate stifled a sob, tears streaming down her face. We shared a knowing look. Our lives now depended on silence. Time crawled, each second an agonizing eternity. Suddenly, a gunshot echoed through the walls, the deafening roar drowning out all thought. Screams pierced the air, mingling with the smell of gunpowder. My heart sank. Someone had been hit. The intercom crackled to life once more, the principal's voice strained. "Stay hidden. Help is on the way." Hope flickered, but the terror still clung to us like a vice. Minutes dragged on, each one heavier than the last. The intruder's taunts grew more deranged, his threats growing louder and more desperate. Then, a chilling realization washed over me. The police hadn't arrived. We were on our own, trapped in a nightmare. As the minutes ticked away, despair settled over us like a fog. It was clear. Help wasn't coming. We were at the mercy of a madman. In a final act of desperation, I mustered the courage to peek through the blinds. The sight that met my eyes froze my blood. The intruder stood just outside, cold eyes fixed on the door. Time seemed to stand still. With a final, desperate prayer, I turned back to my classmates. But it was too late. The door swung open, and the intruder's gaze met mine. The world seemed to collapse around me as his finger tightened on the trigger. Darkness swallowed me, leaving only the haunting echo of the Eerie. It was a dark and stormy afternoon, with rain tapping on the classroom windows like bony fingers. I sat at my desk, scribbling away, when the loudspeaker crackled to life, sending shivers down my spine. "Attention, students and staff. This is not a drill. We are now in a lockdown. Please remain calm and stay in your classrooms. Do not open the doors for anyone." The room fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. My heart pounded like a drum. What could possibly be happening? My classmates exchanged worried glances, but our teacher, Mrs. Baker, tried to reassure us. "It's probably just a precaution," she said, though her voice wavered. Time dragged on, each minute feeling like an hour. The shadows seemed to grow longer, creeping along the walls. Outside, the storm raged, casting eerie shapes on the frosted windows. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed through the room, causing everyone to jump. Mrs. Baker's face turned pale, and she motioned for us to huddle in the corner. We held our breath, hearts pounding in our chests. Another knock, louder this time, reverberated through the classroom. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Who could it be? Then, a voice, muffled but urgent, seeped through the door. "Let me in, please, let me in." Mrs. Baker's eyes widened in terror. We all all exchanged frightened glances, but no one moved. We knew we couldn't disobey the lockdown instructions. Minutes felt like hours as we waited in silence, the voice outside growing more desperate. Then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The hallway fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the storm outside. After what felt like an eternity, crackling voices came through the loudspeaker once more. The lockdown has been lifted. You may now resume normal activities. We hesitated, glancing around the room, but eventually, we cautiously left our safe corner. Mrs. Baker opened the door, peeking into the empty hallway. As we stepped outside, we saw no sign of who had been at the door. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The mystery hung heavy in the air, leaving us all with a sense of unease. To this day, we never found out who was outside that door, or why they needed to get in so desperately. It remains a haunting mystery, a story we share in hushed whispers, reminding us that sometimes the scariest things aren't the ones we can see, but the ones we can't explain. The sun hung high in the azure sky, casting dappled patterns on the freshly cut grass outside Lincoln High School. Laughter echoed through the corridors, a symphony of youthful exuberance. It was a day like any other, until the shrill blare of the lockdown alarm pierced the air. Students froze, their faces contorting with confusion. The sunlight, once a comfort, now felt oppressive, casting long, eerie shadows across the linoleum floors. Teachers ushered their charges into classrooms, locking doors and drawing blinds. Anxiety pulsed through the air, mingling with the metallic scent of fear. From the windows, they saw nothing amiss. The world outside continued as though untouched by the sudden turn of events. The occasional chirping bird and the distant hum of traffic seemed grotesquely out of place against the backdrop of uncertainty. Hours ticked by, each one weighed down by the oppressive silence. Whispers circulated, carrying rumors like wildfire. Some spoke of a dangerous intruder, others of an unknown threat. Fear hung like a fog, obscuring reason and tethering hearts to the cold reality. As the shadows stretched and the sun began its descent, tension reached a fevered pitch. The once bustling hallways now lay deserted, the only sounds the soft sobs of frightened students and the distant hum of fluorescent lights. Then, as dusk painted the world in shades of gray, a voice crackled over the intercom, cold and devoid of emotion. "The lockdown has been lifted. You are free to leave." Relief washed over the students like a tidal wave, carrying away the weight of uncertainty. They spilled into the hallways, the cacophony of voices a stark contrast to the earlier silence. But as they ventured outside, their laughter had lost its vitality. The once bright day now seemed to wear a mournful shroud. It was then that they saw it, etched into the pavement like a cruel punchline. In the fading light, the message was clear. We tried. Confusion reigned. What did it mean? Who had written it, and why? The adults exchanged somber glances, their eyes reflecting the same question that gnawed at the students' hearts. As days passed, the incident became a specter haunting the school. Whispers in the hallways grew hushed, and laughter held an undercurrent of sadness. The memory of that sunny day, tainted by shadows and fear, lingered like a bitter aftertaste.